Hey guys, welcome into the Mile High Football Podcast. I am Mark Schlereth, and it's the start of the regular season, man. It is here. We're going to start digging into it, getting the matchups. But first and foremost, congratulations to all the players who made the Broncos 53-man roster, all the guys that are on that practice squad. And I thought it was fairly interesting, and it kind of shows you the mindset of Sean Payton, the head coach of the Denver Broncos, because one of the things they did, there's only three active wide receivers on that active roster in the first 53-man roster, and multiple tight ends and guys that could block. A lot of people made a big deal out of Albert O. And Albert Okwuegbunam, great talent, third preseason game, made all kinds of catches, and people are like, oh, what are we doing letting him go? He's such an offensive talent. Well, it goes to show you the mindset of Sean Payton. I want complete football players. And if you're not willing to do things that are required to be a complete football player, you are not going to be part of this organization. And it goes back to building a culture. It goes back to accountability, the things that we talk about on a consistent basis that haven't been part of this organization for 7 years. And one of the reasons this organization has just fallen on hard times is because we haven't held players accountable the way they should be held accountable. And, I saw things on social media and locally here about Albert O and what an offensive weapon and what an offensive talent. And it's too bad that it just couldn't work. It's too bad that they just couldn't continue to kind of mentor him and bring him along. Listen, man, I don't even want to hear that. I'm talking about a guy who, one, refused to block people, and two, couldn't play special teams. The indictment is on the organization for keeping a guy that a fourth tight end or a third tight end that won't block people and won't play special teams, and yet you kept him all these years. The indictment's on the organization. That's who the indictment's on. So I am glad to see the accountability factor play out. The other thing I think you can kind of garner from this offensive roster, if you will, is the way Sean Payton is going to attack the season. His job, and he was on Peter King's podcast just the other day talking about Russell Wilson will be more like the 2021 Russell Wilson than the 2022 Russell Wilson. Well, you go back to the stats, and he threw 26 touchdowns versus 6 interceptions. And remember, he missed 4 games with a finger that he had to have surgery on that was supposed to be an 8-week injury, came back, played, didn't play well for the first 2 or 3 games back, and then really caught fire again. So if you extrapolate those numbers, you're talking 30-plus touchdowns versus 8-9 interceptions. I mean, if you do that, this football team will be in the playoffs without question if he puts up those kind of numbers. But you see the construction of the roster. What is the plan? Well, we're going to use multiple tight end formations. We're going to have guys that have the ability to not only block, most importantly, but also catch the football. And we're going to run the snot out of the football. We're going to control the line of scrimmage. And off that running game, we're going to have a lot of boot action, a lot of play action pass, places where Russell Wilson can either eliminate half the field, get outside the pocket on the boot keep, and have these linear progressions, or drop back deep behind the line of scrimmage, have 7-man protections up front, 3-man route combinations, and push the ball down the football field. What that tells you is we're going to do the things that Russell Wilson has done well over the course of his career, and we're going to protect our quarterback by playing 1, great defense, and 2, running the football. And that's the formula for winning, especially early in the NFL as you continue to develop your offense. So love the plan, love the I love the emphasis put on big guys that can block, guys that the guys that are pure football players. And that's what I see with this roster right now, the roster construction, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So really excited for week 1, guys. We'll be back with you on week 1, breaking down this matchup between the Broncos and the Raiders. Can't wait to get it going. For everybody involved here in the Mile High Football Podcast, thank you so much, and we'll be back with you next week.